Good afternoon, everyone. 4 o'clock straight out, a Thursday edition of Middays with Q. As always, I'm your host, Rich Quiñones. 2 hours to play with on another just absolutely a scorcher of a Thursday, up and down 95 on the East Coast on this 31st of July as we get set to kiss goodbye the month of July. MLB trade deadline. We are 2 hours away from that deadline being passed, and we'll get you caught up to speed because a lot of moving parts in the world of baseball. Phils, Mets, Yanks, Twins, teams have been busy, busy, busy. Reds, Pirates, teams have been absolutely busy at an alarming rate. As always, we encourage you guys to get social with us. Pretty easy to do. You can follow me on TriX57. That's where you want to get the show on Facebook Live as well. On X, TriX57.com. You can follow myself personally on my accounts, all at Rich Q on Q. We actually, YouTube channel now, very easy to get to. At Rich Q on Q, just like IG, just like X, everything is uniform except for TikTok. Couldn't get the Rich Q on the Q, so we went with the Rich Q on the mic. Because it's a Thursday, Lloyd Vance is going to join us in the 5 o'clock hour. We're probably going to push that around 5:25. We're going to take a look at NFL quarterbacks and 2025 stat-wise season projections. So we're going to go in that direction in the 5 o'clock hour. No pack of no Q-fecta tonight. I didn't really like anything, to be quite honest with you. Yes, now we do get something that we should all be thankful for. We should all be happy and ecstatic. Football's back. Yes, it's Thursday night. Yes, it's preseason. Yes, it's the Hall of Fame game. Yes, it's the Chargers and the Lions, and we love it. Lions laying 1.5, and the total is 33. Juice to the over, 33.5. Doesn't matter. Starting tonight, we're going to get football, and mass football going all the way to February. I mean, this is what we want, is it not? This is what we crave. Preseason right around the corner tonight, and then we turn around week 1, September 4th on a Thursday night. Those defending little pests, those Philadelphia Eagles, open up the season at home, defending their crown against the dreaded, hated NFC East rival Dallas Cowboys. We get a Friday game as well in Brazil. Kansas City and the Chargers, a full Sunday slate. So right around, I would say for myself, right around 4:25 as I'm coming off the beach fishing, the Giants probably would have lost 35-10 to Washington. But we get football, and that's all that matters. All right, we got a lot to get into. As I mentioned, trade deadline in baseball. It is about 2 hours away. Let me get you caught up to speed on a couple things. Yankees, according to the mothership in multiple sources, they are finalizing a trade to acquire David Bednar from the Pittsburgh Pirates. The deal is pending a medical review. So again, the Yankees decided we need some bullpen. We need some relief help. I'll give you the numbers on him right now. Since Memorial Day, maximum 20 innings pitched, 0.40 ERA. So a little upgrade right there for the Yanks. The Mets upgrading as well. We talked a little bit about the Mets with Steve Garner. We said no matter what, the Mets, well, listen, we said that Baltimore was going to be sellers at the trade deadline. And we also thought maybe the Mets can go for another outfielder, another bat. So right now they are finalizing a deal to acquire center fielder Cedric Mullins in a trade with the O's. That, again, according to the mothership, Mullins is a 30-year-old center fielder, contract year. But again, excellent defense. You saw that unbelievable catch the other night against the Blue Jays. Robin, I think it was Sanchez of a home run on Wednesday night. And again, he doesn't give you what you really need in batting average-wise, right? But he's bumped up the numbers to about 232, OPS right around 736. So the Mets, again, that extra bat. How about the Phillies? So a couple things the Phillies did. They not only acquired, and we knew they were going to go in this direction, they not only acquired an outfielder, we'll get to the pen in a second, but, Harrison Bader is a veteran guy, and they gave up 2 prospects. They gave up an outfielder and Hendry Mendez and a right-hander, Jeremy Valeria. So they're going to go in the Twins deal. But I thought the real big move by the Phillies is they turn around and they got the Twins closer, Duran, and he's one of the best relievers available. But again, they still had a need for outfield. So, to fix the outfield, solidify it a little more. I know everyone was looking for Dombrowski to just, be uberly active. And sometimes if there's no trades to be made, you really can't do anything about that. And listen, I'll say this, they took a big trade deadline swing. They did. And this is all you can really ask for, right? I mean, the fact that that's a signature deal right now, um, and they thought maybe it was going to be tough to do. And I think right now, listen, you acquire one of the best relievers on the market. You don't surrender your best prospects. Yes, you know the cost was significant, right? Because again, Eduardo Tejeda is one of the finer prospects. Mika Bell, I thought this kid was going to be at least mid-level rotation starter, but he was blocked in the Phillies' current and future rotation pitcher, right? So it's a win now kind of move for the Philadelphia Phillies. And again, listen, you had that lackluster offseason. You had the issues again with some of these injuries to the staff. You had obviously the suspension regarding Jose Alvarado. They were kind of backed in a corner. So the Phillies showed you we're going to be active, we're going to contend, and we're going to try to get some missing pieces here. So we knew these teams that were right there on the cusp of trying to contend or maybe get over that hump. We knew they were going to make some moves as well. The Tigers got Finnegan from the Nationals. The Nationals are going to sell off. How about the Angels? I know we don't talk too much about the Angels, but they're kind of just hovering right around 500 in the AL West. And, interesting, right? Because the Padres get Miller. I mentioned the Yankees already land Bednar, so you got big deals for the closers. And then you look at the Angels, and that's a team that picked up Garcia and Chafin from the Nats. And the Angels are trying to make this run as well. They know that their window to try to win is closing, even though they're 9 back in the AL West. We're talking from a wild card standpoint. That's all you're really concerned about at this point, wild card standpoint. And right now, Yanks and Boston 1 and 2 in the AL, and then in the NL, Chicago and the Phillies in the NL for the wild card. So as I mentioned, as I alluded to, very busy with the trade deadline, again, about 2 hours away. Very, very, very busy. But again, I think something that should be pointed out as well. You're going to see teams like Chicago, right? We knew they were going to be sellers. We knew Colorado was going to be sellers. We knew Baltimore was going to be sellers. I don't really subscribe into the, who won, right? The wins and losses of the trade deadline. I thought San Diego, the fact that San Diego traded for Miller and J.P. Sears was huge. I thought Seattle had a blockbuster move ahead of the trade deadline, right? They got that deal for Suarez, the kid from Arizona. Everyone, he was just so sought after. I don't know. Is Zach Gallen going to be the next to move? I don't know. But we saw a boatload of relievers and arms. How about this? How about the Twins? The Twins are trading Carlos Correa to the Houston Astros. Wow. So Correa heading back to Houston. That is a big, big, big move, man. Wow. That's, you got the old together again, right? Wow. Listen, that team is going to be so tough to beat. They really are, because they've shown you they know how to win. They've got a nice mixed bag of veterans. They're not running away with the AL West just yet. They're 5 games up on the Mariners, but that is a veteran team that's been there before. You just go up and down. You look at their lineup this year, whether it's Walker, Diaz, Smith, Jose Altuve. They're putting up some monster numbers and runs. They really are. Even Pena's having a pretty decent season. So Houston having an old friend come back. So we'll run through the gamut of MLB. As I mentioned, in a 5 o'clock hour, NFL, we're going to take a look at some of these quarterbacks and some of these potential player props. Good segment from Costco yesterday. Outstanding stuff from Costco yesterday on the Big 12. Got a lot of feedback from that spot. We enjoy having Nick on talking a lot of college football. We'll do a little high school segments as well on a Football Friday. What the frig? Football Friday as well. NFL. So a couple things that kind of caught my attention regarding the NFL. So we love talking about the quarterbacks, do we not? So I don't know if you heard this one. Baltimore Ravens head coach John Harbaugh basically has said that Lamar Jackson has solidified himself as the best running quarterback last season when he surpassed Michael Vick for the most career rushing yards at the position. Harbaugh went on to add that he believes Jackson should also rank among the all-time greats in throwing the ball too. So when I look at Lamar Jackson, yes, athletic, talented, MVP, superb, brilliant at times. I look at him as a runner scrambler first, and then a passer second, like runner scrambler primary, secondary passer. I don't see Lamar Jackson, and I know some of the numbers. He's put up some ridiculous numbers, but at this moment, when I go look at the pantheon of great throwers of the football, why can't we just say great passers? Lamar Jackson, I can't put him right up there just yet. So we're going to get into a little more of that today as well. As I mentioned, as far as the NFL preseason Hall of Fame game, you guys, you waited. You showed patience. You showed absolute resolve and patience. We had to get through the dog days of summer, the offseason, but we do have football tonight, albeit the Hall of Fame game, the Lions and the Chargers. Everyone always says, you get a series or two. These are low-scoring affairs. Preseason week 1 right around the corner as well. So you'll get a nice little boatload of games next Thursday and, of course, next Friday. So we will certainly ramp it up with BYP. We dropped a couple new additions as well. So you can check that out on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music. All right, 12 past 4 o'clock hour, cranking it up on a Thursday. We'll see what you guys have to say. We'll take a quick time out. We'll come back. I already see some comments coming in on Ravens. I already see some comments coming in on the attire. Man got caught in a rain delay. Not a good job by him, but we did fire off at 4 o'clock. I want to remind you, get social with us. Everything now uniform on the YouTube, the X, and the IG, all at Rich Q on Q. As I mentioned, TikTok, Rich Q on the mic. We are coming at you live on the Facebook Live page of TriX57, TriX57.com. No plays tonight because I want to get into a lot of football and a lot of baseball as well. The numbers are creeping up on the eyeballs on X. Excellent job by you guys. We'll get to your comments on the other side. Quick timeout. We're cranking up on a Thursday edition. We might have a new name for a Thursday edition. We're kicking that around as well. Thursday edition of Middays with Q. Keep it locked in right here on a Thursday down the shore.
This is what the Down Beach Seafood Fest is all about. It's about community, it's about friends, it's about culture, right? The food culture in Atlantic County is rich.
Hidden in an abandoned campground in South Jersey lies a mystical encounter with brews and spirits, where bonfires burn, shadows dance, and flavor favors the bold. Ghosts, ghouls, goblins, grown-ups, it's time to reclaim Halloween. This is Witchcraft, October 10th and 11th. For tickets and information, visit witchcraftnj.com.
Hi, I'm Bruce Pascoe. I'm very fortunate. Years ago, I found something that I genuinely like to do, and it's something that helps other people. What I do is help people transition from traditional health insurance into Medicare. I've been doing it here in Atlantic County for more than 20 years. If you're getting ready for Medicare, call me for a free consultation. 609-484-9800.
All right, 15 past the 4 o'clock hour on a Thursday edition Middays with Q. Madman chimes in early and often. That's the way we like it. Sorry, I got caught in a rain delay. Not a problem. Not a problem at all. De facto chimes in at 4:16 with his already ball-breaking comment. Did he break you? You're all collared up today. No. Not at all. Not at all. We just decided we were, collared up today for a little bit. Maybe we go with the T-shirt tomorrow if it's another 88-degree day. But, de facto, we just don't sit at home and play with the dog all day. We do a lot of stuff. We TCB, we take care of business, we create content, we go out, we market, we do sales. We have commitments doing other shows and other podcasts. So once in a while, yeah, if I want to be a little lax on a potential thought out Thursday, then I'm going to do that. I'm so, you're so concerned with the attire, pretty much just like you're concerned with the Washington Commanders. We'll go for Herbert getting burned tonight. It's a Hall of Fame game. I mean, what are you going to play these guys for right now, right? Which, by the way, the quarterback position, I'm already seeing franchise chimes in queue. If you're not going to tell me that Lamar Jackson right now is one of the all-time great passers, you're crazy. Hey, listen, again, we love to have these conversations. What is a head coach going to say? The head coach is going to say, yes, my quarterback is exceptional. So Harbaugh comes out and says that Lamar Jackson is a historically great passer. Now, again, you want to look at the numbers? I mean, I think Lamar Jackson is a fantastic quarterback. And now we throw in the stat of the passer rating, the perfect rating. And he had quite a few of them last year. And I think he's an exceptional quarterback. I think he's an unbelievable running quarterback. And yeah, I think he's also tightened it up when we talk about being a passing quarterback. First of all, last year was the first season Lamar Jackson ever broke 4,000 yards. And again, you could have made the strong case that Lamar Jackson was the MVP of the NFL. His numbers were off the chart. 41 touchdowns, 4 picks, 4,200 yards. His completion percentage was 66%. It's unreal. And oh, by the way, he rushed for close to 900 yards. Like right now, if Lamar Jackson wins a Super Bowl this year, like at this moment, you would sit there and if you were to hang him up for his body of work, and winning an MVP and winning a Super Bowl and already amassing over 6,000 rushing yards, you would have a strong case to say Lamar Jackson is a Hall of Fame quarterback. Am I going to go as far as say he's one of the historically greatest throwers of the football? Not yet. Not yet. I'm just not going to do that. But he's a great quarterback. But again, this is what makes it fun. We talk about all these great throwers of the football. Now that football is back, we can get into these conversations. We can get into these topics because it's fun. It is. My opinion's no less valid or important than your opinion. We might agree, we might not agree. Franchise is a big-time Ravens fan. Franchise used to listen to me on 1290 The Ticket in Delaware. He's a huge Ravens fan. So it doesn't matter who's slinging it back there. He probably could have said the same thing about Flacco years ago. That's how big of a fan he is. And I think this year, we might actually see records drop when we're talking about passing yardage in the NFL. Think about some of these throwers of the football, these quarterbacks, Goff, Stafford, Jackson, Burrow, Herbert, Daniels. I mean, they're going to sling it. They are absolutely going to sling it. Aaron Rodgers has a chance to crack the top 5 this year. Aaron Rodgers needs, I think, 2,000 more yards. He will pass Big Ben. He will then basically have sole possession. Because if you look at all these other quarterbacks in that mix, they've all retired. Ryan, Marino. Well, Stafford's still playing. Pardon me. Check that. Eli, Elway, Moon, Palmer, Testaverde. Russell Wilson's at 46. If Russell Wilson has a 35, 3,800 yard season, 3,900 yards, he'll be a 50,000 yard quarterback. And there's only 12 of them. There's only 12 quarterbacks that have thrown for 50 or more thousand yards in NFL history. The way Lamar Jackson's career is going, this guy might have 40,000 yards passing and then, 10,000 yards rushing, which is unheard of. What's going on, Vince? Vince, the topic today is wherever you want to take it, brother. It's a thought out Thursday. We're just thawing out. We're just relaxing on a Thursday. You want to go a little baseball? I know that's not your forte. You want to talk a little off-season NBA? I know that's not your forte. You want to talk about quarterback player props, which we might have a quarterback you'll be interested in the 5 o'clock hour. Then we can go that route. Topic today is Q is wearing a button down. Give me chills for showing up at 4 minutes late. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you said chills. Sorry. Coach is pumping up his player. Nothing to see here. On what? Are we saying we're gaslighting? Right? Q gaslights us like he's our president. Really? Come on. You know what? It's okay to laugh. You have free reign to talk a little baseball on the show. Why are the Philly fans hating the Bader move? Provides outfield power, elite defense, 243 career, won the 2021 Gold Glove, and can play all 3 outfield spots. Confused. I think it's a solid move. You needed another veteran presence in the outfield. And the other thing is the bigger move, and I don't know what they're saying down the dial, and I don't care, but the bigger move is the fact that they upgraded to Penn. But also, they needed outfield help. They needed outfield help, period. I came on the air, opening monologue, to maybe, to the chagrin of some who wanted to go 2 hours plus of football. But I like the move. I do. I like the move. I really do. Now, again, the one thing that maybe, concerns you a little bit is, you're not going to get a lot of pop from him, with the average, but defensively, yes, he's a Gold Glove center fielder. If you go back 2021 with the Cardinals and a move to left to accommodate, I think it was Buxton upon signing that deal. He is, like I said, he's contributed, if you look at it, 4 outs above average in left field. So he's grading out plus defensively in center, which is a good thing. That's what you want. If you actually go to Sports Info Solutions, which I pulled up prior to today's show, plus 13 defensive runs saved the season. So if you look at the Phillies, they stink in that category, right? Minus 28 defensive runs saved, 27th in MLB. So, and by the way, too, to your point, it's okay to laugh. If you look at what he's doing offensively, he's actually having a pretty damn good season. He really is. He's having a good season. But he will get most of his playing time against left-handed pitching moving forward. I mean, listen, the Philly center fielders this season, they've hit 4 freaking home runs this season. That's it, which is tied for the Astros, the Mets, and the Rays for fewest in baseball. Their OPS stinks, 626. That's embarrassing. That's like 23rd in the majors. So I don't know, what you're hearing, but it's a solid move. And they upgraded to Penn. And they, fans want, they want the sexy sizzle sauce move all the time. And it doesn't happen like that. It just doesn't. It just doesn't happen like that. Dombrowski knew that he had to upgrade the outfield. You had to bring in another bat. You had to clean it up defensively. And also, he had to get another arm in the pen. And that's exactly what he did, period. So whatever they're saying on other outlets, I mean, whatever. If you're happy with the moves, you should be happy with the move. Right now, the way the NL is and the way the NL East is, the move is basically to get the Phillies right in contention, a wild card, to perhaps win the NL East. Other than that, it's going to come down to what? They're big boppers. It's going to come down to their offense and the pitching like we see every single solitary postseason. That's really it. I mean, that's really it. I mean, look at the season that a guy like Schwarber's having. It's ridiculous. Kyle Schwarber has 37 home runs. He has 101 hits. Castellanos is hit or miss. We know about Stott and Baum and Real Muto need to play the other night was unbelievable. Harper has not put up the gaudy numbers, but he's also been injured. So you don't know if you can rely on him. Everyone wants Bryce Harper from a couple years ago. You're not going to get it. But in the NL East, there's no reason why the Phillies cannot compete with the Mets. It's right there for them. It really is. We know that Miami, even though they jumped Atlanta, Miami's not going to do anything. The Braves are 16 back. They're waving the white flag. Washington's waving a white flag. So it's a two-team race, and the Phillies are half a game behind the Mets. So Philly fans need to just pump the brakes. I'm not saying you per se, but it's not a bad move at all. It really isn't. It's not. Baseball trade, seriously, can someone tell me the last time a trade deadline move led to a ring in MLB? There have been moves. Yes. There have been moves. Joe Blanton, right there. See that? It's okay to laugh. Comes in. Bam. Joe Blanton. Big Joe. Yep. Do you remember also the move? Now, I think it also was a move that got them to the World Series, if you remember, or NLCS, but the Beltran move back in the day. I mean, look, I get it. Some people don't like baseball. Some people are not enamored with the sport of baseball. I am. That's why I like to talk baseball on the show. And that move definitely, it was a big move. It really was. That was a very, very big move. That move was made, coincidentally, in July 2008. And they gave up players you didn't have to worry about. And Blanton came in and did what he needed to do. And that's one of the reasons he got that extension for $24 million. There are some moves in baseball that are made that don't automatically equate to a ring right off the bat. These moves we're seeing right now by some of these teams, everyone needs another arm. Everyone needs another bat. It's just a little more prominent with some of these other clubs. But we also know, who the really good teams are in baseball. And right now, is Toronto legit? I'm still not, I'm not overly sold on Toronto Blue Jays. I mean, I know their run differential is only plus 23, but yet they're 4 games up on the Yankees in the AL East. I think Detroit's got some staying power. Houston's Houston. We already know about their track record. The Mets and the Phillies are going to battle it out to the end. And then you got the Brewers and the Cubs. And then you have the Dodgers, the Pods, and the Giants. And the Giants are fading. So you kind of know who your good teams are. And I'll tell you something else, too, that I don't hear a lot of people talking about. Did you see Ohtani? Ohtani had to leave the game the other night. I mean, that's not good. He had cramps and he blamed the weather. But I'm telling you, the Dodgers almost like want to treat him with kid gloves. And Ohtani quietly just having a monster season. I mean, he's got 38 home runs. He's on pace to have 50-something odd home runs, 55 home runs. He's going to bat probably 276. He's going to win the MVP. It's just, that team is loaded. Absolutely loaded. They're a fun team to watch. They are definitely a fun team to watch. Let me get to some of these Lamar Jackson thoughts. Verlander is a good call, too. 2017. Man, that team was stacked. That team was absolutely stacked, that Astros team. Would they win 100 games that year? That was a entertaining World Series. I mean, the ALCS was not entertaining to me because they beat the Yankees in 7 games, but they beat the Red Sox, they beat the Yankees, and then remember, they took the Dodgers. The Dodgers took them to 7 games. That was a hell of a series, and that team was ridiculous. That team was just, you had Gurriel, Altuve, right? Correa, who's back. You had Bregman. Springer, right? So that was a very, very big-time team. Franchise chimes in, Q, you just said it yourself. His trajectory, he's trending up towards the Hall of Fame. How can he not be an all-time great passer right now? Because I think you're going, what happens again, the knock on Lamar Jackson a couple years ago was don't pay him because you don't know if he's going to last a season because of the style of play. Now, if you recall, without saying this in nauseum, and again, I apologize if I'm belaboring the point with you guys who've heard it before. When the Jets were toying with the idea of Aaron Rodgers, I was the first one to literally come out and say, you need to go after Lamar Jackson and pay him. You need to go after Lamar Jackson. The knock was that, are you going to get Lamar Jackson healthy for 16, well, now 17 games? He's a great quarterback. I mean, he's a fantastic quarterback. And the head coach, as you guys said, is going to pump him up. But a guy like Lamar Jackson and a quarterback like Josh Allen, they need to get over the hump. And that means you have to get to the AFC Championship and you got to win it. You got to get to a Super Bowl. I mean, at that moment, what else is left? Right now, if you look at, Jackson, you make a strong case, already Hall of Fame quarterback. I know it's only 6 seasons in or 7 seasons in. Josh Allen, Hall of Fame quarterback. But they got to get over the hump. They got to win a Super Bowl. That's, again, how they're going to be defined. The MVPs are great. They're great. They're absolutely great. But you want a ring, don't you? You want a ring. That's what you want. That's what every quarterback ultimately, whether we believe it's fair or foul, they're judged on. Rings, winning, right? The consistency, the stats, the availability, all there. All there. And if you have that, you got a franchise quarterback. You got a franchise quarterback. But hey, we're talking about winning. Sean chimes in, Q, thank you. All these idiot talking heads are actually pissing on this trade. Think about this. Highest OPS slugging OPC. Second highest home run hits, RBI strikeouts, SB. It's not a flashy move, Q, but the Phillies outfield has improved on paper on the last few hours. Agree. Jay says, hey, Q, enjoying the show as always. Call me casual. Had no idea this cat was carrying a 778 OPS. That's why you have to watch a little bit. Listen, is it also possible that when you look at the numbers and all of a sudden he's in a little bit of a groove right now, sometimes it's a change of scenery and a guy can kind of find their power stroke? That's all I'm saying. Kevin chimes in, Q. Johnny on the spot one more time. Highest WAR, 2.3, higher than the next closest Phillies center fielder. Q is an instant upgrade. And by the way, I like the collar today. Thank you. See, that's what I'm talking about. De facto doesn't know what the hell he's talking about. Heavy D, right? Now that we found love, what are we going to do with it? Did Heavy D pass away? Or is he still alive? Didn't he pass away? The reason I ask, I saw him on an episode of Law and Order. I'm pretty sure he passed away, Heavy D. I'm pretty sure, right? Listen, Heavy D was the man back in the late 80s, early 90s, right? He had that the fusion, right? A little freestyle with the rap, right? Somebody from me, Heavy D. I think he passed. Vince says, Q, give us your top 5 active quarterbacks. I mean, how many times are we going to have this discussion? I'm sure you'll give us plenty of ammo to argue about. 5 active right now in the NFL. Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, Jalen Hurts. I mean, you want me to put it in a banner? I'll type it out right now. You want me to do that on the air? Here, let's do that right now on the air. Ready? We'll go Q's top 5, right? That's what we're gonna label it. Right now, yeah, we'll do it on the air. What the hell? Who cares? Q's top 5 QBs, right? We got Hurts, we got Mahomes. Because I'm gonna keep flashing up for you guys. I'll just say Patty M, LJ. Who did I say? Burrow, Allen. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right, there you go. There, beat that sucker. Let's flash it up. There you go. Hurts, Patty M, Lamar Jackson, Burrow, and Allen. Jaden Daniels is right there, by the way. Sorry, but Jaden Daniels is right there. I'm telling you, the numbers are going to be off the charts this year for the quarterback position. They're going to pass for like ridiculous. Yes, a few years ago. What are we talking about? A few years ago on the quarterbacks? No, just right now. Right now, you. How do you not? If a quarterback goes out and plays at a certain level, like Jalen Hurts, because again, it's just at this point, it's friggin' annoying. Like the Eagles fans, I tweeted this out. What do you guys care at this point if people don't have Jalen Hurts as top 5, 6, 7, 8? What do you care? The guy won a Super Bowl. He was a Super Bowl MVP. Man, the mothership is just cleaning house. Get out, Kendrick Perkins. He got fired too? Oh, man. No. They got rid of Perk? Wow. And now I'm hearing that Ocho Cinco might take over Sharp's role. I don't know if Shams is reporting that. It's got to be true, right? Shams is Johnny on the spot with this. Let me see. If Shams says it, then maybe it's true, but we'll see. But anyway, so Jalen Hurts goes out. He outperforms Patrick Mahomes twice on the biggest stage. Jalen Hurts puts up solid numbers. As Madman said a couple months ago, they're not sexy. They're not gaudy. They're just consistently good numbers. That's what you want in a franchise quarterback. All he does is win. Stats, as we say, are for losers. But in this regard, for this argument, he puts up very good stats. He's a leader, and he also is a Super Bowl MVP. At this moment, that is top 5. I don't care what the Orlovskis of the world or the Wrights say or the Simses say, the Chris Simses. The Boomers say. I don't give a damn what they say. I don't. He is a top 5 quarterback based on the body of work. And if we're going to talk recency bias, what have you done for me lately? All he's done is outperform Patrick Mahomes 2 out of the last 3 Super Bowls. And oh, by the way, 1 Super Bowl MVP. If you can't see that quarterback is a top 5 quarterback at this moment, then you have an agenda. You're just a friggin' hater. That's it. Burrow is a top 5 quarterback. Lamar Jackson is a top 5 quarterback. Josh Allen is a top 5 quarterback. And Patrick Mahomes is still your top 5 quarterback. Like, why are we making this, not Vince, but I feel as though, like, how is there wiggle room in this debate? I don't believe there's any type of wiggle room. Joe Burrow, if Cincinnati had any type of defense last year, any type of defense, you're sticking Joe Burrow right there, saying he carried Cincinnati. They limped into the playoffs. Look at his numbers. They were spectacular. With no defense, mind you, he was the MVP. But Josh Allen made the plays late last year. Josh Allen had big-time rushing touchdowns in the 3rd and 4th quarter. He was making big-time throws for Buffalo when they needed him the most. Hence, he edges a guy like Burrow and Lamar Jackson. It doesn't mean at this moment one's 1, the other's 2, the other's 3. You can sit there and say Joe Burrow right now is the best quarterback in the NFL. You can turn around tomorrow and say, you know what, Q, I think Lamar Jackson's the best quarterback in the NFL. Hell, you can turn around on Sunday and say it's Josh Allen. It's all subjective. It's all subjective. I think those 5 that I named, I would say if you backed me in a corner, I gave you my reasoning. Those are my top 5, right? The top tier. And then right on that bubble, right on that bubble, you can start to sit there and say a Jaden Daniels who's trending up. I mean, he's trending up, guys. He really is. Jared Goff, listen, you can't lose at home against a rookie quarterback in the playoffs. You can't when you have home field advantage. Now, the defense let them down, but, Matthew Stafford, I think people just look at Stafford and they look at the back of the jersey. He's not the same quarterback he once was. Is he still top 10? CJ Stroud kind of came back down to earth a little bit. Murray, Purdy, those are good, solid quarterbacks, but I don't believe they're on the level of the guys that I mentioned. Like, I'll ask you guys, you tell me, what are you looking for in a quarterback? You're looking for a guy that is going to put up ridiculous numbers, or you're looking at a guy that's just going to consistently win and then, have an opportunity to make a deep run into the playoffs and then ultimately get to an NFC or AFC championship and win a Super Bowl. If that's the case, I kind of gave you these guys, right? Now, the difference is Allen and Jackson haven't been to a Super Bowl. Burrow, Hurts, and Mahomes have been to a Super Bowl. Hurts and Mahomes have won a Super Bowl, and Burrow had an opportunity to win a Super Bowl, but they couldn't close the deal late against the Rams. But I still think they're exceptional. Honestly, Q, I can't be mad at your list. I just knew you would have a Mayfield, Goff, or Stafford in your list. Good job, buddy. Well, what does that mean? Where are we going with that? I didn't have Mayfield, and I kind of with Stafford, and I end with Goff, right? So I'm not sure where you're going with that. The debate is from those who predicted player fill in the blank will be a franchise quarterback like Herbert, Tua, or Stafford. I still believe that Herbert is a franchise quarterback, and Stafford's already shown he's a franchise quarterback. You can't say he's not. Stafford's shown you he's already a franchise quarterback. Matthew Stafford's a Hall of Fame quarterback. Get over it. Move on. Nothing to see here. Nothing to see here. And you shouldn't be mad at that list because it's a friggin' list. It's objective. It's objective. I stated my case. I feel like we just keep going down this rabbit hole. If we're talking 4 or 5 years ago, then yeah, Matthew Stafford, we can sit there and say was one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, but he's not anymore. Jared Goff is a very good quarterback. I don't stick him top 5. And I'm going to tell you why I don't stick Jared Goff. I think he's right there top 10. Okay? I don't trust him. I don't trust him. I trust those other guys that I mentioned. And I've seen the body of work. I know what Jalen Hurts can do. I know what the hell Patrick Mahomes can do. I've seen what Burrow can do. And I know what Josh Allen can do late. And I've seen Lamar Jackson do things late. I don't trust Jared Goff. I don't. I really don't. Because Jared Goff is a tease. Jared Goff will put up 40 against San Francisco and have 78 completion percentage for 300 yards and 3 touchdowns. And then he spits the bit against Washington. And he did. He got sacked 3 times in that game. Poor throws, 3 picks. Not good. I don't trust him. And that was the problem when he was younger with Fisher. They never trusted him to throw the football. Now with Campbell, right? And he's been with the Lions for how many years now? This will be his 5th season with the Lions. He is a compiler. He puts up some big time numbers. And I'm not saying he's a bad quarterback. If you want to say fringe top 10, fine. I don't trust him in the big spot. Now, I'll say this about Baker Mayfield. You guys better start giving a little more love to Baker Mayfield. I know it pains some people to say that, and I know it pains some of you guys to actually understand that. But Baker Mayfield last year put up ridiculous numbers. Yes, Baker Mayfield is going to throw a pick. Yeah, we know that. That's who he is. But look what he's been able to do in that offense, in that system, when he was basically cast aside when he was hurt with Cleveland. Had a cup of coffee with Carolina, a cup of coffee with the Rams, won that big game on Monday night, caught a plane, didn't even understand the playbook, and they had a big win. He's come back and he's cashed in, and he's going to get another contract. I stick Baker Mayfield top 10. He's a winner. Baker Mayfield is a tough-ass quarterback, man. He is. You got to respect his game. You do. You don't have to like him, but you have to respect him. Listen, I watch this kid play. I mean, you saw some of these 3rd, 4th down conversions they were making late. He didn't play very well against Washington, but they should have ran the football more. Everyone knows that. They didn't. That's why I only threw it, I think, 18 or 19 times. They just decided to not run the football in that game when they had opportunities to, which is on them. Which is on them because they were running the ball late very well in that game, and they chose not to. And then they couldn't stop Daniels late. Remember, Daniels had a couple of those big-time scrambles, and they couldn't even touch him. They couldn't even get to him. I think maybe they got 1 sack. So, yeah, these quarterbacks, as I mentioned, it is a quarterback-driven league, as we all know. But I think we try too hard to dismiss some of these quarterbacks. Like, you have to be fair, guys. You can't tell me Baker Mayfield is not a top 10 quarterback right now. He is. And there are younger quarterbacks that are going to chase these vets. I don't know. Listen, you're Trevor Lawrence's of the world. You're Justin Herbert's of the world. The verdict's still out. The verdict is still out because when push comes to shove, you can't have a playoff game where you have 3 or 4 picks and a couple pick sixes. You can't. Then you go in the offseason and people start to question, are you a franchise quarterback? That's what they start to question because, listen, if you have bad playoff performances, that will make teams think twice about paying you, especially if you're due for a contract, right? If you're getting ready to walk, if it's a walk year, if it's a contract year, you got to make your bones in the playoffs. You have to. You have to. And the knock on Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen, whether it's fair or not, they can't get it done in the playoffs. Now, we can sit here and say there are certain circumstances that surround that at times, right? We can look at a couple years ago, everyone wants to sit there and say the squib kick, McDermott. Okay, hey, I get it. I understand. But Josh Allen is 7-6 in the playoffs in his career. You got to get over the hump. You have to. You have to, because everything else is just smoke and mirrors. It really is. It is. Lamar Jackson, regular season, the numbers are absolutely ridiculous. Lamar Jackson is 3-5 in the playoffs. Lamar Jackson has 7 picks in the playoffs, right? Like, he's got to have that defining game. He's got to have that defining moment. And whether we like it or not, we have a tendency, we always tag wins and losses with the quarterback because it's the quarterback position. Anytime a team loses, we're too critical of the quarterback. And anytime a team wins, I think we give too much praise sometimes for the quarterback. So even if we're trying to be even keeled about it and objective, there were some games that if you watched Lamar Jackson come playoff time, he didn't play particularly well. He just didn't. And that can stick with the talking head. That can stick with the GM. That can stick with the head coach. That can stick with the franchise owner. Okay, what am I going to do? Am I going to pay this guy? Am I not going to pay this guy? And I know people don't want to hear that. Listen, that game against Buffalo, he was He was He wasn't spectacular. He wasn't. He was not spectacular in that game. You need to be spectacular. You have to be spectacular. You have to. Especially in the playoffs. You got to figure out a way to take your game up a different level. Take it up a notch. And Jared Goff, same thing. Burrow, had his opportunity, couldn't cash in the Super Bowl. But I still look at these teams and say they are, again, top 5, right? Top 5. All right, quick timeout, 4:48. Excellent stuff. Got a lot of comments coming in. We'll reset the table. I'll get to your comments, I promised as well. We'll get you caught up to speed on the MLB trade deadline, which is fast approaching 6 o'clock. Lloyd Vance at 5 in the 5 o'clock hour. We'll talk some quarterbacks with him as well. Keep it locked in. We'll take you up to 6.
This is what the Down Beach Seafood Fest is all about. It's about community, it's about friends, it's about culture, right? The food culture in Atlantic County is rich.
Hidden in an abandoned campground in South Jersey lies a mystical encounter with booze and spirits, where bonfires burn, shadows dance, and flavor favors the bold. Ghosts, ghouls, goblins, grown-ups, it's time to reclaim Halloween. This is Witchcraft, October 10th and 11th. For tickets and information, visit witchcraftnj.com.
Hi, I'm Bruce Pascoe. I'm very fortunate. Years ago, I found something that I genuinely like to do, and it's something that helps other people. What I do is help people transition from traditional health insurance into Medicare. I've been doing it here in Atlantic County for more than 20 years. If you're getting ready for Medicare, call me for a free consultation. 609-484-9800.
Hidden in an abandoned campground in South Jersey lies a mystical encounter with booze and spirits, where bonfires burn, shadows dance, and flavor favors the bold. Ghosts, ghouls, goblins, grown-ups, it's time to reclaim Halloween. This is Witchcraft, October 10th and 11th. For tickets and information, visit witchcraftnj.com.
All right, 4:52 as we are fast approaching the 5 o'clock hour. A lot of comments on the NFL and the quarterbacks. Cincy Fan 6 chimes in on X. Hugh, definitely Burrow is top 3 without a doubt, but you're right. He definitely has to win a Super Bowl to validate and justify his career. Yeah, I mean, but don't all quarterbacks have to, right? I mean, what are we playing for? Ultimately, we're playing for what? Rings, right? But appreciate the comment nonetheless. Vince, have you talked about Gilbert Arenas situation? Figured the gambling aspect would catch you immediately after your rants on players and gambling scandals lately. I mentioned it yesterday, Vince. Kind of seems, though, from early reports like Gil wasn't actually responsible for anything happening there. No. Handouts, brother. Hand out the money. I mean, look, I said this. I think it's a joke. I don't care who the person is that, the feds are coming in regarding a illegal poker game. And that to me, it probably wasn't smart of Arenas to text a photo of a gold trim poker table. That's probably, not smart. But I just think, listen, there's always illegal poker games being run all over the place. They are. But like I said, if you're Gilbert Arenas, you probably don't want to text a photo of the gold trim poker table. That's probably not smart, right? But again, just gambling everywhere. I think somebody snitched, to be quite honest. I think somebody snitched. I think somebody ratted him out. Maybe he fronted the money. Maybe he promised to front some money. Maybe he didn't deliver. Maybe somebody owed him money. Maybe he was chasing somebody down. Maybe somebody had something on him. And he snitched. I think this is being made into much more than a bigger deal because, like I said, It's different if you're gambling and you're playing a sport, you're an active player and you're gambling on that sport or your team or your own player props. That's a problem. This is the other thing. We're talking about Otani, and de facto commented on Facebook that Otani got scammed by his interpreter. End of story. And then he mentioned to say that Japanese culture puts a lot of value in honor. Agree. Otani would never expect someone would dishonor themselves like that. We don't know what he would expect, but I do know that if a couple million are missing in my account, I'm probably going to want to know where the hell that money is, and I'm going to start asking questions. Like, I believe Shohei Otani in some way is culpable. He should be held accountable for his interpreter stealing funds and gambling with that money. That's just my opinion. Now, if you go and you ask me about a guy like Gilbert Arenas, he's come out and listen, a couple players have also come out and basically saying, what's the big deal? Right? What's the big deal? Now, I think what rankles people is that he's connected or tied with what? A suspected Israeli crime figure. They were both arrested the other day on federal indictment alleging that they operate a illegal gambling business within the house, within the home. Now, you can't get me on the red tape with the parameters of what you do inside your house. That's fine, right? Apparently, it was one count of conspiracy to operate an illegal gambling business, one count of operating illegal gambling business, and one count of making false statements, which is a no-no. But, he already posted. They pretty much have a nothing on them, and it was a rented house. So, listen, your guess is as good as mine. Do I think, I would sound like a hypocrite because we talk a lot of sports betting and gambling on the air. I've been to houses before that have had poker games, blackjack games, dice games. I think we all have. So I'm not going to sit there and sit on the ivory chair in the ivory tower and tell you, I can't believe this is happening. I think there's more things better to do with our time than worry about guys playing poker illegally in a house or a rented house. That's just me. Obviously the government and the feds feel different, but a lot of it has to do with, who he was allegedly or suspected to be tied with. That I think also plays a hand in that. Now, if you ask me about the players that are currently active, that are being caught with gambling, that I have a major problem with, right? That I have a major, major problem with. And ultimately, we don't know these guys from Adam. We have no idea. We have no idea what these guys do with their money or who they give their money to or who they're friends with or who they run with. All we go by is what we hear and see. And half the time, you can't even believe it. Right? As my father would always tell me, two sides to every story, and then there's the middle. I mean, that's just how it is. So, is more information potentially going to come out? Probably. And I'm of the belief with a lot of things in life where there's smoke, there's fire. Like I'll go back years ago with the Donaghy scandal in the NBA. Like, you can't tell me other referees, the league. I don't believe it. I believe they know exactly what's going on. Call me a conspiracy theorist. I believe that. I believe Paterno knew exactly what was going on. I believe if you spit on the sidewalk in Penn State, he would tell you exactly where it landed. I think people are very naive and they turn a blind eye to what they want to turn a blind eye to. So, yeah, I mean, Nick and Wildford chimes in, Q, the law is the law. The law was broken. Yeah, but I'm not, again, I get what you're saying. And again, Nick from Wallingford used to listen to me all the time in Delaware on 1290. He's anti-gambling. He's anti-gambling. He's not a proponent of sports betting or gambling. Okay, fine. But you're in someone's house or your own house. What are we doing? We're playing cards. Like, we're playing cards. Do we not have anything else to do with our time? then again, have an federal indictment and a raid. Come on, you see Molly's game taking the rake, high stakes game. I remember where in our 20s, whether you go to Camden, you go to Riverside back in the day, you're going to tell me they weren't organized. You walk downstairs to some of these basements and you see the old school heads, right? They're sipping back on their wine. They got their bankroll. They got their suits on. They're playing cards. They're smoking cigars, You knew it wasn't legal. But you'd be damned if you walk out of there and start sprouting your mouth off, right? I mean, you're not going to do that. So yeah, I just think it's much to do about nothing. The other thing too is look at where we are with sports betting and gambling when it comes to as sports as a whole. Sports as a whole. Every sport we watch, every channel we turn to, every game we view, every podcast that's sports related we listen to, there's always an element of what? Sports betting, sports picks, sports gambling, sports betting tips. I saw, was it Swaggy P, Nick Young going out and pretty much putting everyone on blast, just unloading, right? Kwame Brown coming out as well, kind of celebrating the nonsense with Arenas. Come on, man. These guys, Michael Jordan was playing cards on the plane. They were betting thousands of dollars. God knows how much they were really betting, but the stories are thousands of dollars. These guys were going to Atlantic City during playoff series. So it's because it's in someone's house, right? Because it's in someone's house. I mean, come on. It's just, I think it's much to do about nothing. I really do. I really do. Look, I get it. You break the law, but I also think kind of barking up the wrong tree here. These sports leagues are in bed with gambling. In bed. So they're opening up Pandora's box. It's exactly what they're doing. And then they want to turn the blind eye. Oh, this is not good. This is not proper, right? This is not. We don't want this. Well, okay. Then don't have relationships with FanDuel or DraftKings or BetMGM or Hard Rock Bet. Don't have a post-game show that's brought to you by one of those. Don't have a pre-game show that's brought to you by one of those. I'm telling you. And the fact now that Arenas is out walking the street, doing his IG, doing his little dances on the steps, you don't think this guy's going to turn around? And if they really have, if they're trumped up charges, that's one thing, right? That's one thing. But if we're talking about real serious to federal charges, right? If he rented out the house and, again, I'm just saying he's facing up to 5 years in prison. If he's going to cut a deal, what does that tell you? I mean, everyone saw these mob movies. What does that tell you? If he's going to cut a deal, then you know what's going down. He's ratting out a lot of people because that's what happens. It's you get 5 or 6 guys that get pinched, and it's always who's going to make the first deal. Whoever gets the first deal wins. Whoever steps up first, opens their mouth, rats out their buddies first, they save their honey first and foremost. You know it and I know it. Arenas is a weird dude who knows what he's gotten himself into. Jordan would get into some intense high dollar spades games. They would sit there on the plane, the locker room, right? They would sit, the plane was on the tarmac. Former NBA players, I know guys that had cups of coffee in the NBA that had a moment or two with the Bulls. They told me the same thing. This guy was so intense when it came to, playing cards and betting. Constant. The money being thrown all over the place. Him and Scotty Williams going back and forth. Remember, and guys were getting fights over card games or who owes what, who owes this. I mean, athletes, they have money. So they take that very serious. They don't care if you're playing for $1, $5, $10, $50,000. Money is money, man. Green is green. They are competitive. They want to win. And when it comes to that, playing cards, dice, playing spades, playing blackjack, shooting craps. They're not messing around with that stuff. You lose, pay up, man. You lose, pay up. You lost a bet, pay up. Sally Boy in Wilmington chimes in. Q, right now, would you say Lamar Jackson is a Hall of Fame quarterback if you look at his overall numbers, including the rushing yards? The rushing yards are phenomenal. Look, Lamar Jackson has won 2 MVPs. You could have made the argument Lamar Jackson could have won back-to-back MVPs. He won an MVP in 2019. He won the MVP in 2023, and he could have won the MVP last year. That would have gave back-to-back. And last year, again, these quarterbacks were fantastic. They were fantastic. Jared Goff, by the way, was an all-pro. Burrow was an all-pro. Allen was an all-pro. Lamar Jackson was an all-pro. Right now, Lamar Jackson's numbers are, off the chart. But now he's learning to throw the football much better. His jump, Lamar Jackson, his second season, which is really his first as a full-time starter. He played 7 games in 2018, right? He goes 13-2 in 2019. He throws for 36 touchdowns and just 6 picks. We're like, whoa, this cat is good. 22-year-old MVP. Like, really good. But go back to what happened that year. They lost. Their offense didn't do anything against the Titans, and they couldn't stop, pretty damn good running back. But you look at, that season, and it was very impressive, man. For a young kid, 21, 22, to put up those kind of numbers. Now, again, defensively, they had no answers for Henry, who had a $195, but he didn't win that playoff game. So it was like all for naught. Then he comes back. He goes 26-9, has a down year in 2021. He missed some time. That's when we start to have the conversation. You can't trust him. He's injured. He's great, but he's injured. 16 touchdowns, 13 picks. Then he comes back the next year. He got hurt again. He only played in 12 games. Remember, you got to, slow him down a little bit. Look at the way he plays. He's got to change his style. He's taking too many hits. 17 touchdowns, 17 picks. Then he bounces back last year or 2 years ago. Now, the numbers from 2023, they don't blow you away. They don't. But what separated Jackson that year was not so much what he did passing, but what he did rushing, scrambling quarterback. So I pulled up his numbers. He had over 4,300 total yards and 39 touchdowns. Prescott had a really nice season. He was 36-9 with 4,500, but he didn't even get a first place vote. He didn't. Lamar Jackson, just ran the table except one time. Josh Allen took 1 vote. So he would have been a consensus MVP. Then he bounces that back with last year. So yeah, then he goes for 41 touchdowns last year from 24 to 41. So he's throwing for 35 plus twice in his career, once when he was 22 and last year. The progressions, the way he's throwing the football, if he has another 3-4 seasons where it's 28 to 35 touchdowns, he doesn't turn the ball over a lot. He really just doesn't. Once in a while, he'll have a pick here and there, and he still has put up these numbers. And he wins a Super Bowl. That's a Hall of Fame quarterback. That is a Hall of Fame quarterback. Easy, hands down, Sal. Again. No. You're kind of mixing 2 different things. Jordan gambling on a plane is fine since nobody was collecting from the wagered money. Yes and no. My point is, what I'm doing is right church, wrong pew, madman. I'm saying that gambling in a whole, right? Yes. And they didn't collect money on that plane? Yeah, they did. I know what you're saying. But again, you play cards, you play poker. You're going to tell me in your lifetime you've never played a game over somebody's house where it was an illegal game? Really? We all have. And that's kind of my point. Like, okay, let's just pinpoint Gilbert Arenas right now. Here we go. Is it more or less who he potentially was aligned with that made the feds, stake out the house, got the information, and then decided to raid the house. I just think raiding a house for an illegal poker game is just, eh. Look, we know poker is considered a form of gambling because it involves what? Wagering money on an uncertain outcome. Fantasy football, to some extent, is gambling. Is it not? I guess my whole point is these leagues, we want it to be regulated, which it is. But yet these leagues get all up in arms when we have these types of issues, whether the player played in the league currently or past. It doesn't matter. That's the problem I have, the hypocrisy. The hypocrisy. The NFL, everything is brought to you by DraftKings, FanDuel, BetMGM. Next touchdown, going to be 50 yards. Is it going to be passing? Get in. Micro betting, live betting, in-game betting. It's just a hypocrisy overall, the hypocrisy of these leagues, the NBA, the NFL, baseball, and NHL to some extent. And I just don't believe, again, no, they did. They took that money. The hell they didn't. You don't think for 1 minute when they were playing those games, they took those money? Yes, they did. They did. They weren't giving that money back. No, you don't what? And no, you don't. No, I don't what? I know I don't what? Example. If me, you de facto, and Vince play poker in my apartment, no matter how much we are playing for, the cops can't do anything. If I'm taking a percentage from the pot, then it becomes illegal. Oh, you're talking about you're taking the rake. You're taking you're the dealer. Money is still exchanging hands. I don't believe that. I don't. So if you're basically telling me we're all sitting there, don't oh my God me. We're all sitting there and we're playing for fun, or if because it's your house and you're taking a rake, that's common courtesy. You're not going to take a little something off the top. Nah, I get it. I just don't agree with you. I get it. You're talking like Molly's game. That's what you're talking about. I know exactly what you're saying, but I'm just not, again, the players did not give money back to other players. Correct. I'm agreeing with you. On the plane, they kept it themselves. Yeah. Can we just agree to disagree with this? Can you just understand my point is this? I think it's a waste of time, whether it's legal or illegal, to go in there and deal with Gilbert Arenas for renting out a house and playing poker. That's all. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. It's a tax evasion thing, but the charge doesn't gain any real jail time, so they can use the conspiracy. He's got lawyers for that. Yes, I know. Money can exchange hands all at once. That's fine. Stop laughing. It's a rake. I'm not doing it. I'm not going to go back and forth with you guys on this. I'm not. You asked me. I gave my opinion. I gave my thought. I know. I worked in the casinos. I worked online. I know exactly how it friggin' works. And I played in games years ago that again, right? But yes, what was going on at Arenas' game was identical to Molly's. And exactly. And what friggin' happened in Molly's game? What did the judge say? We have a better use of our friggin' time than to go after Molly. Molly Bloom. Exactly. Hence, the charges were just lifted. That's my point. It was a waste of time to string her up like that. It was. Poor Jessica Chastain. That was a great movie, by the way. Great movie, by the way. It was a waste of time. This is a waste of time. Me talking about it for 20 minutes is a waste of time. I do get it. I do know what you're saying. Whether it's legal or not, you guys asked me about the hypocrisy and the my take on it, and I gave you my take. I don't think it was a big deal. I don't. If the feds want to go after Gilbert Arenas, if they want to make a big deal about it, if they want to throw charges at him, so be it. If they want to deem it an illegal gambling business, so deem it. I think it's a waste of time. My point is, no matter what, in our lifetime, we've all played in some type of illegal game. Whether money was exchanged or not, whether there was a rake, whether the dealer took the money or not, we've all done through it. We've all gone through it. That, again, is my point. I don't care if he paid somebody $14,000 for managing the setup. I don't care if he's got techs. I don't care if he wanted to earn a take. I don't care if he wanted a portion of money wagered. I don't care. To me, it's a waste of time dicking around with this stuff if you're the feds. That's my thought. That's my thought. I don't care. Let them play cards. Who the hell cares? Who cares? Come on. You better give me that card because I'm going to smash the hell out of it. 5:15, quick timeout. We'll come back on the other side.
This is what the Down Beach Seafood Fest is all about. It's about community, it's about friends, it's about culture, right? The food culture in Atlantic County is rich.
These comments are just absolutely absurd today. Money exchanging between me and you is not illegal. Correct. What are you telling me? Something I already know. I don't care whether this was illegal or not. Yes, by definition, it was illegal. My point, again, that I will drive home one more time is that I feel as though this is just a waste of time. That's all. And if you honestly believe in your mind, or if you're trying to tell me you've never played in a game like that, you're full of it. You're lying. We all have. We all have. Don't sugarcoat it. Don't sugarcoat it. We've all played in the basement where money was exchanged hands and you tipped out what it does. That's not my point. The point is for them to go after Gilbert Arenas and anyone doing this in a house is, to me, it's just blah. That's all. I'm sorry, sir. I don't break the law. So no, I've never and will never play in any unauthorized card games. Stop. Yeah, it's a thought out Thursday. Yeah. Q went over I can't even pronounce that word. Is that Hayanaska? I don't even know what that is. I mean, can we break it down for me? Can I spell it out? I have no idea what the hell that word is. I'm not confused. I'm just not agreeing with you. I don't believe it was a big deal. That's all. I'm not confused. I know what the frig I'm talking about. I've been doing this for 5 years. Right? No, I don't think playing on Hooten Road is illegal. I'm done. I'm done talking about this nonsense. I'm done. I know exactly what's legal and I know what's not legal. I get it. I just don't agree with you guys. Not in that regard, in the regard that it's not a big deal to me. It isn't. Like in this instance, yeah, it's illegal, but slap on the wrist. Who cares? It's just it's a waste of friggin' time. Just like me going back and forth with these comments today with this nonsense. Could the owners of the Hooten Road house catch a charge? I mean, you think me playing on Hooten Road is, you know what? I'm not confused. Sal chimes in. Q, you got a bunch of real jackass commenters today. Hey, Sally, they're not jackasses. They're just trying to test me on a thought out Thursday. Let me see. Mike in Ohio chimes in. Q, where would you put Burrow right now if he wins the MVP and they actually have a pretty good defense? They make a deep run in the AFC, but they don't get to a Super Bowl. Burrow is still top 3, top 4, top 5, 100%. Now we agree. It is dumb, but it's the law. Yes, that's my point that I've been trying to make for 45 friggin' minutes, but you guys want to let it go. It's dumb, but it's the law, but it's a stupid law. Sorry, it is. It is. It is a stupid law, right? And it's a waste of time. That's all. That's it. And, listen, Gilbert Arenas is going to save his hiney. So he's probably going to start ratting out people. Freaking guys telling me my business like I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. Get out of here with that nonsense. What did Mike's in Ohio say? Oh, talking about Joe Burrow. Let me pull up Burrow's numbers. I got your thought out Thursday. Burrow. last year. Finally, Prop chimes in. Q, I would love to call up and defend you. I don't know if you have a phone line, but I will say yes, it is a stupid law. Burrow last year, almost 5,000 yards, 43 touchdowns, and 9 picks. Any other year, that is MVP. That's like out of this world. He's already got 20,000 passing yards in his career. But again, like I told you, he's got to get his team deep run into the playoffs. They can't, then no. No. Whoa. Sally Boy's a good dude. Stop. Leave Sal alone. He's just taking a shot at you guys because you guys are just, you're just not letting it go with me today. And that's okay. On a thawed out Thursday. I guess, is that what we're going with right now? Should we put it on the board? Is Thursday right now thawed out? If Herbert gets a ring, does he move into your top 5? Chargers are loaded. It's the top 5. Can we admit or all agree it changes every year based on what happens? We know that there are a handful of really good quarterbacks. Like if Hurts has a down year and they don't make the playoffs or they get bounced in the first round and don't get back to the Super Bowl, but he puts up 4,300 yards, 35 touchdowns, and they lose in the playoffs on a last-second field goal, he's still a top 5 quarterback. Like you have to let it play out. There's so many moving parts with these lists. So Herbert, I think Justin Herbert is a very good quarterback. But I'm starting to get concerned with Justin Herbert because I think of another really great quarterback that played for that franchise, albeit San Diego, and put up a lot of yards, went to the playoffs, but never got to the Super Bowl. And that's Dan Fouts. And I look at Justin Herbert right now, and even though he's still relatively young in his career, he's 27. We know he can put up some big numbers, but he also has to lead this team deep into the playoffs. You can't, if you're a franchise quarterback, you can't go on the road and have 4 interceptions like you did against Houston. You just can't. That offense scored 12 points. He was horrible in that game. Now, you want to sit there and tell me, well, wait, Q, I remember in December you were saying beware of the Chargers. Yeah, because they were playing lights out. And then they stunk up the joint against the Houston Texans. He's got to take this team to an AFC championship. He has to. Allen, Mahomes, Burrow. Allen, Mahomes, Burrow. Those are your, and Jackson. Those are your top 4. Hurts right there to me is 5. Okay? He's right there 5. Now, can Jaden Daniels, if Washington gets to the Super Bowl and Daniels is in the conversation for MVP, we're going to slide him in 5? The position is so fluid. Period. I say Hurts with the caveat of he won it last year and he was a Super Bowl MVP. But I know for me, now let me see if I can drive this friggin' home for some that just want to argue until the cows come home with me. There's no movement when it comes to 4 out of the 5. Can we agree? I mean, because obviously we can't agree on anything today. Rake, no rake, legal, non-legal, house, no house, rental, no rental, thought out Thursday, cool off Q. Can we agree on one thing? Allen is Allen, Burrow is Burrow, Jackson is Jackson, and Mahomes is still Mahomes. 4. Then I've got Hurts right there. Then if you want to go and pick and choose 6, 7, and 8, have at it. Have at it. Cincy's defense too weak for Burrow to take home the hardware. Yeah, but he should have won it last year with a horrible defense. A horrible defense. And remember, too, I said this year is the year Kansas City takes a step back, which means that the AFC potentially could be between 3 or 4 teams, which means Buffalo, Cincy, the Ravens. No one in the NFC South scares me. I'm sorry, the AFC South scares me. It's a stinky division. And maybe say, like, if Kansas City slips up, Denver pushes them. But Denver's still not on the level of a Baltimore. They're not on the level of a Buffalo. They're ascending. So this could be there that Cincinnati makes a big run. It could be. What did they do? They went out and they drafted defense. They got the kid Stewart. Okay, fine. You had some issues with that. Resolved. They got the kid Knight, the linebacker from South Carolina. They got the kid Carter, the linebacker from Clemson in the 3rd or 4th round. They went out and they stockpiled on defense. because they know they have an explosive offense. So that doesn't change with those quarterbacks. Finally, the man says something that friggin' makes sense. Top four solidified. Number 5 is up for grabs. Yes, that's actually a sound comment, right? Allen Lamar, Burrows, my homeboy. Don't sleep on Bo Nix. Well, you did imply. I didn't imply that the friggin' Jordan gambling on the plane was illegal. This is what I'm saying. Now I got to call you a jackass. You heard what you wanted to hear. I didn't say it was illegal. All I was saying is they were playing on a plane. What was the big deal? Exchanging money. That's it. My God, mark the tape on this with this nonsense. Oh, there we go. De facto marks the tape. I can't. Can I? 5:25. I got to bring in Lloyd. I can't take this nonsense. I can't do it today with you guys. I can't. You guys, literally every single solitary thing that's coming out of my mouth, everything, you guys are just getting on me about. Every solitary thing. My goodness. I don't get it. I don't get it. We try to be fair on the show. We do. We try to be fair. And that's not what you guys want. We try to be objective. This is not Fox, but we try to be fair. That's all we're trying to do. We're trying to shed a little light, shed a little sunshine on a cloudy, nasty day. All right, I'm going to punch up Lloyd. We're going to take a timeout. We got to hear from our guy, Bruce, and then we'll come back on the other side.
Hi, I'm Bruce Pascoe. I'm very fortunate. Years ago, I found something that I genuinely like to do, and it's something that helps other people. What I do is help people transition from traditional health insurance into Medicare. I've been doing it here in Atlantic County for more than 20 years. If you're getting ready for Medicare, call me for a free consultation. 609-484-9800.
All right, 5:27. I'm getting hammered on a Thursday. It's absolutely ridiculous. Lloyd Vance, host of Lloyd Vance's Insider Football, kind enough to join us for a couple moments. Lloyd needs to ring the doorbell. No, we got Lloyd in. We told him that. We don't. By the way, we found new music that really bothers people, Lloyd. So you tell me if this would bother you. Like, I'm just throwing this out there. I used it yesterday because it was Costco's birthday, but apparently it's not the music that fits with the show. It's 6 seconds. So here we go. No good, right?
That's old school. That's like Lost in Space or something.
Well, I think some of these goofballs are lost in space. All right. Let me pull up some of these. So obviously we're talking about some of these quarterbacks. We're going to get to seasonal props with some projections, some guys that we pointed out. I brought this all up. The show's been a friggin' train wreck on a Thursday because of what Harbaugh said about Lamar Jackson. Now I got all the Ravens fans flocking in, no pun intended, talking about Lamar Jackson right now. Is he a Hall of Famer? Look at his numbers. Look at his credentials. Harbaugh basically gaslighting him, saying he's, an all-time great passer, one of the all-time greatest passers ever. And again, I said, I need a little more body of work, but you can make a case the way his career is growing. If he puts up these numbers that he's putting up and you add in those rushing yards, if he gets a ring, he's a lock for Hall of Fame. I just don't know if I want to stick him in that category as an all-time great passer just yet.
Lamar, he's had some tremendous seasons, Q, and from where he came into the league, coming out of Louisville on a Heisman Trophy, there were questions on his passing ability, and he was more of a runner coming in. But, man, the last couple seasons, I mean, throwing for 40 touchdowns, his interceptions, I think, are under 8 or so. He has 2 MVPs in his pocket. He's had tremendous amount of success. So, yeah, that's just his coach, patting his guy on the back. But he's going to need to do a little bit more before you can say, okay, Hall of Famer. Particularly, he's got to get some playoff success. We always talk about that 3-5 record in the playoffs.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think there's no wiggle room here, right? I go, and again, it's subjective. Allen, Mahomes, Burrow, Jackson, and Hurts. right? I mean, I think the 4 solidified, but because of body of work last year, I have Hurts as the top 5. I mean, are you okay with that?
Yeah, I'd be okay with that. I'd probably put Jackson ahead of Burrow though, because yes, Burrow has been to a Super Bowl, but Lamar has those 2 MVPs, and you also have to factor in today's NFL the dual threat running ability. So, but yeah, I'd have no questions on that. I always have questions when it's like, oh, they put, Herbert in there and Golf, and you're like, what have these guys done for me lately?
Well, so golf, it's funny you mentioned that, you want to say outside looking in top 10, but what I think some of the audience maybe is not understanding from where I'm coming from, and you can shed light on this. This is such a revolving door of a list. Like it changes from season to season. Because what if Daniels leads Washington into the Super Bowl and he's MVP of the league? Then guess what? Next season, we're going to talk about Daniels being in the top 5. So, point is, like Vince chimes in, if Stafford gets another ring, if Goff gets his first, what if Stroud or Mayfield get one and win an MVP along the way? It's always it's got moving parts. Like I believe Baker Mayfield is top 10. I think Stroud took a step back. I think Baker Mayfield should be given his just due over the last several years. Goff's got to get one. I don't trust him. Stafford already has one, but he's not the quarterback that he once was. Like, do you believe that when we look at the quarterback position, it is kind of like a revolving door when we talk about, 3, 4, 5, we know the 2, 3, 4, but after that, it does kind of, they come and go.
Definitely, Q. It's a fluid list, and it's going to. You'd hate to say it's week to week, but it's definitely season to season. You have to put it on paper, on tape every single season. You know what I mean? Yeah, you can't rest on your laurels, which you did in the past. Yes, Stafford has had some really great seasons, particularly in Detroit. He had the big stats, and then he won a Super Bowl with the Rams. But now he's a 36-year-old quarterback, and you're starting to say, okay, his age creeping in there. He's the same guy. Same could be said for like a Russell Wilson. He's at that age mark where you're like, all right, can he still get this thing done? But Baker Mayfield, a lot of people have bias on him in terms of this is his 4th team. He's bounced
Sure.
around the NFL, and he didn't really live up to that number 1 overall pick expectations, but he's played extremely well for Tampa Bay, just a rebirth for them. And last season, he was purely a Pro Bowl guy. I mean,
Oh yeah.
I think he got over 35 touchdowns, and he was just efficient in that offense.
Listen, Jim Plunkett flamed out with the Patriots and the 49ers and won 2 rings with the Raiders, right? So I know we're looking at some seasonal props for these quarterbacks. Hopefully, I'll give you my first. We didn't discuss these, but I'm going to throw Burrow. His over is 4,100 passing yards, which is minus 120 on DraftKings, and I think they've kind of gotten worse in the offseason. Like I think that line's probably going to move to about 4,200 by the start of the season. I just think it's all about healthy, right? Because in 3 healthy seasons, he's put up 46, 44, 4,900 yards. History shows me that if he's healthy for 17 weeks, we might see 45, 4,800 yards. I love this play. I would hammer the over, even if it's 4,200 yards for Burrow. Because if we think their offense is going to stink again, even though they upgraded, then he's going to have to throw them back into a lot of games.
Yeah, Q. Zach Taylor, their head coach, and the offense coordinator Dan Pitcher, they are going to lead on Joe Burrow. And as you said, as long as he's healthy, he had the ACL, he had the wrist injury that he lost some time to that. He's going to put up some huge stats. And last season stayed healthy, almost threw for 5,000 yards in the season. Just dominant play. It was unfortunate they got off to that bad start. And then down the stretch, they just played so well, 5-0 in their last 5 games, 9-8 team. And then you just talk about the riches in terms of offensive weapons. Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, even Yosevos can make some nice plays for them. Gesicki had a nice rebirth for him. And then Chase Brown at the running back position's a young guy that's kind of ascending. So as long as that offensive line built around Orlando Brown Jr. does their job, I think Burrow definitely could hit all the over and all those prop bets you were talking about.
Yep, I agree. All right, throw one at me. Who you got?
Yeah, My son's always debating on my show about Kyler Murray, and everybody's talking about Kyler Murray's back to that pre-ACL form. And I was looking at his projections. It's 38.65 in terms of passing yards, 22 touchdowns, which is not a lot. 12 interceptions, and then the rushing yards. You got to look at that. In terms of can you get to 538 rushing yards and 5 TDs rushing? So had to kind of rebirth, bounce back last season. Everybody's talking about he's on the same page with Harrison Jr. and McBride and James Conner and Benson in the backfield. So a lot of weapons for Murray as well. I tend to think he maybe will hit some of those. Definitely, I think he'll get 22 passing touchdowns, particularly the way the McBride and Harrison Jr. are playing. We'll see about the yardage in terms of the passing yards over, we'll say 38.50. That may be a lot for him. I could see him coming in maybe around 3,500 or so. The rushing yards, he's getting up there in age. He's season, and 538. He may come in just under that one. So interesting numbers for the Cardinals. Everybody's saying Gannon on a hot seat, and that Murray's got to play well and get them to the playoffs.
I just put up MVP numbers. He's in at plus 5,000. I think he's a dark horse. I also mentioned Bo Nix. Trevor Lawrence, Vince is probably just salivating right now, right around 35 to 3,900 yards. Like the high water mark is 39. That's what it kind of pans out to. I think the low water mark is 3,500. Now he's averaged 7.2 yards per pass attempt last year, which was 17th in the NFL. And his average dropping back to pass was 28, which was 29th in the league. 17.2 completed passes per game, 172 total completions, just 14 combined touchdowns. 43% of his team's 32 offensive touchdowns, right? And he's been banged up. But there's this sentiment, high water, low water mark for Trevor Lawrence this year. And if I can get, 3,700 yards, I would probably lean towards the under. And again, I know I belabored this point, but I think the loss of Evan Ingram is going to hurt him. He missed a lot of time last year, did Trevor Lawrence. He only played in 10 games, and he threw for just over 2,000 yards. In his career, his best season was 3 seasons ago when he threw for 4,100. But I think this year, he might put up solid numbers, but I don't see more than 3,700 passing yards.
Well, they're all counting on Liam Cohen coming in there and changing things around, giving a spark to this offense. He's bringing in his guy Grant Udinski as an offensive coordinator, and you hit on all the numbers in terms of Trevor Lawrence. Last season, disappointing, 11 touchdowns, only 7 interceptions, and you're like, okay, it's do or die for him. A lot of people have been waiting a long time for him. Number 1 overall pick, the Prince coming from Clemson. Is he going to get it done? So he does have some weapons. Diamante Brown coming over from Washington. You have Brian Thomas Jr. obviously there. And everybody's talking about Travis Hunter playing both ways for him. Offensive line's got to do a good job for him in terms of Patrick McCarry coming over from Baltimore. And they got to just shore some things up front. So I do kind of tend to agree with you, Q, that 3,700 yards may be a lot for him. You'd like to see him also start running the ball a little bit more than he did. And when he first came in the league, he could rush for 450 plus yards in a season and then maybe 5 touchdowns. So a lot riding on him, and we'll see if Cohen's able to fix his game.
All right. You got another quarterback for me?
Yeah, this one was interesting because we talked about him the other day, and it was like, oh, man, first snap of preseason, you're like, is he done? But it seemed like it was just a toe injury. And
Justin Fields.
Yeah, Justin Fields coming to the New York Jets. A lot of people are excited about him coming there, and Aaron Glenn trying to fix things up for him. So projections 330, so 3,390 passing yards.
Okay,
they're only expecting 17 touchdowns from him.
Wow.
In terms of rushing yards, he got over 1,000 in the pass for the Bears, 716 and 6 touchdowns. So I just think the way they're building this offense around him and the weapons that he has, particularly Garrett Wilson, who's going to be motivated after that contract, I could clearly see him getting over that 33, 50 yards mark we're talking about. 17 touchdowns. That's just pedestrian. He's got to hit that number. Last season
Yeah.
played pretty well for the Steelers in the brief time that he started before Russell Wilson took over.
No, listen, I mean, he's only thrown for 17 once in his career. I get it. It's albeit a short-lived uh, career, but I also think they're going to have more of a opportunity goal line situations where you might see these little screen passes to Hall as well to pick up some quick little touchdowns. Here's one that I'm curious. Cam Ward. I think it's going to be feast or famine. There's 27 quarterbacks who appeared in at least 14 games as a rookie since 2011. You exclude Jalen Hurts and Lamar Jackson, who were basically used as, situationally as rushers, right? That group averaged 3,400 passing yards and 19 touchdowns. In 15 starts, you would say Ward would be right there. But if I take a step back, Jaden Daniels threw the ball 480 times in the regular season. He started every game. So if you're going by those projections for Ward, which is slightly under that, say 450 passes, that's basically 27 passes per game, which tells me he's going to be more in line of 3,200 yards, 18 passes. I think he's going to get sacked a lot. I think he's going to be running for his life. If I find any number for his passing yardage at 33, I'm hammering the under. I don't believe he will throw for more than 3,300 yards.
Yeah, Q, it's going to be tough for Ward coming in there. We know this. Brian Callahan, the head coach, is on the hot seat already down there, and they got to make things happen with him. And Ridley's a little banged up already, and Burks is out with a shoulder injury. So you're like, okay, who's he going to get the ball to? You have Tony Pollard in the backfield and Tajay Spears, but just not a lot of weapons on his team. So I definitely would hammer the under for him. I think he can be a good thrower of the football. I liked him last season in Miami. He did some nice things for the U down there, but it's just a tough situation he's going into. So I definitely would say look at the under for him.
Yep, I agree. I think it's going to be a struggle for him. All right, you got another one?
Yeah, I don't have his projections, but maybe you can bring them up. But
Yeah.
we can go off of last season's totals, and the bullseye's on this guy's back. It's Brock Purdy coming from the Niners. He got that huge. He got a 5-year, 265 extension, 181 guaranteed. That's a $53 million average. So that puts him in the pay scale of the guys we talked about earlier, like Joe Burrow and those guys. So
You want his numbers?
yeah, good.
All right, so projected 4,100 yards, 67.3 completion rate, 28 touchdowns, 10 to 11 picks, assuming he plays all 17 games.
Yeah, that's over 4,000 yards. He's never hit that in his career. And then last season, he only threw for 20 touchdowns, and he had 12 interceptions. So everybody talks about all the riches that he has if all the guys are healthy on his offense. But, Samuel's in Washington now. Ayuk's banged up. And then you have McCaffrey and Kittle. Yeah, I would say go for the under on those. Obviously, Brock Purdy wants to prove that he's a frontline top 15 or so quarterback. So he's going to be trying to throw the football, and Shanahan wants to say, okay, this is our guy. We gave him the money. But I definitely would look at the unders on those for him.
So are you looking at Purdy from 2 years ago, 4,200 yards, 31-11? Or are you looking for Purdy last year, 3,800, 20-12, like somewhere in between? I mean, we also have to also take in double, negative there, but take in consideration he was a 7th round draft pick.
Well, some folks still factor that in, Q, and I think at this stage in his career, they're going to open the whole playbook for him. Shanahan believes in him, and the main thing is his weapons. Is Jennings going to be out there happy? And I talked about Ayuk and just a lot of things in flux with that Niners offense. Pearsall as well. He's a little banged up, so he's going to get his opportunities, but I just think maybe he comes in a little bit under those thresholds. The key thing, obviously, he wants to cut down on those interceptions from last year. 12 is just too many, forced too many passes too often.
Last one I have, a little surprise here. Jalen Hurts, 35, actually 36.71 as far as passing yards. So last year, I mean, think about that number, 3,600. That is extremely high. And the reason it is, he's never thrown for more than 3,700 yards. That was a couple years ago. Last year, he only threw for 2,900. He missed 2 games, but he only threw for 2,900 yards because they ran the ball with Saquon.
Yeah, and it's always going to be a thing with Jalen Hurts. We always talk about the debates on my show, and his numbers are never going to be gaudy, but you also just have to factor in his rushing ability, the tush push, and the number of rushing touchdowns that he's going to have. So, yeah, you'd like to see him get to that 4,000 yard threshold, that 30 touchdown threshold that so many people are looking for. I'm talking about passing touchdowns there. And they say he's a contemporary, a top 5 guy. Well, he's got to hit some of those thresholds. But the key thing with him, obviously, is he's a winner. He's just going to do what it takes to win the football games. I think he's not concerned with the stats. So, yeah, I would say he passes for just under, 4,000 yards or so, and maybe 25 passing touchdowns. But then you have to factor in his rushing touchdowns in there. So, yeah, interesting guy to watch in terms of his stats.
Yeah, Michael asked if I'd ever take a flyer on Shador Sanders. And I mentioned this. I know it's a goofy situation, but I try to put a positive spin on it. You have four backups. You have 4 quarterbacks. So even with Pickett being banged up, you have Flacco, the veteran, Gabriel, and Sanders. And again, if you go by what you see on social media, then these quarterbacks look like the second coming of Christ, and they're going to be Hall of Famers. Like, I still believe, even though we're hearing a lot of teams name their quarterbacks, that we thought maybe there's going to be a little bit of a quarterback competition, especially say with the Giants in New York, but Russell Wilson's going to be your week 1 starter. You have to throw him out there week 1. I still believe that Joe Flacco is the man of the hour right now. And like you said, a lot of it has to do with, he took them to the playoffs. He had that great run in 2023. You get the injury with Kenny Pickett, the hamstring injury, which kind of hurts his, opportunities, right, with the reps and the snaps. And you got Gabriel that's a little shaky. Sanders making some throws. It's only going to be must watch if or when Sanders starts. Because I don't care what Pickett does. I don't care what the kid Gabriel does. And I sure as hell don't care what Joe Flacco does. So to kind of answer Michael's question, am I taking a flyer on a player on Shador Sanders, knowing that he's going to be the starter? I don't know. If I was in a situation like the Browns, we've talked about this. Coaches don't want to lose. Like, Stefanski knows he's on the hot seat. So you have to weigh the risk to reward. If you know you're going to get fired, do you want to go down, you want to die with your boots on and go with your decision? And if that's Joe Flacco and he stinks it up, and then they go to Sanders or one of the other kids and they stink it up, you're going to be out of a job regardless. So it's a fascinating watch if you're a Cleveland fan, but I'm sure it's got to be very frustrating to also be a Browns fan, because it's like 2 goalies in hockey. You don't really have a starter.
Yeah, and they got 4 of them, right? So it's just like, what is their plan? And when you look at how the reps are shaking out in training camp, Pickett was their guy. They thought they got a steal from the Eagles when they traded DTR for him, and he hurt that hamstring. Flacco's been getting majority of the reps now, and they like that veteran presence. That's why they brought him in. And you talk about 2 years ago when he led them to the playoffs and gave them that rebirth. I still think that it's going to be tough to keep Gabriel and Sanders on the regular season 53-man roster. So that's something we're going to have to watch around cut day, which I think is August 27th or so. Do they try to slide one of those rookies to the practice squad where you can keep 16 players? And I think another team will say, if they try to get them through, they're going to try to grab them. So I know a lot of people don't like preseason, but let's watch these preseason games and see how they perform. They're going to get a lot of opportunities, these young guys, because typically teams are not going to play their veteran starters out there. So I still tend to think, Q, though, that it'll either be Pickett or Flacco starting the season for him. But a good prop bet, I think, for Sanders be look at how many starts he gets as a rookie. Maybe it's a small number, and you jump on that. They have a tough schedule, the Browns, and as the season progresses, if it goes the way we think it will, because there's just not a lot of weapons. They have Njoku, they got Judy, they got Ford, but they just don't have a lot. And Junkins looks like they may have made a mistake with him. He's still unsigned. He has his legal situation. So it's just a mess in Cleveland. And you just wonder how soap opera is going to turn out for all these quarterbacks.
Yeah, I know some people are asking, what do we think tonight? I mean, they're not. You're not starting Herbert and Goff. I mean, I know Jared Goff's not going to play tonight. I mean, you got 3 preseason games are still on the schedule before the regular season, so you're going to get the kid Hendon Hooker and the kid Kyle Allen, right?
Yeah, you're going to see a lot of them out there, and they've been in camp just for a little bit, and it'll be the 3s and 4s out there. Every team has 90 players right now. You may see some former UFL guys out there, undrafted free agents, guys just trying to make that bottom half of the roster. So, something to watch, though. I'm excited because we finally got some football, and like I said earlier in the week, Q, hammer that under. It's 32.5. With the weather and everything, and there'll probably be sloppy conditions. But it'll be something to watch, and we can talk about. Maybe one of these rookies will step out. The Lions have a receiver named Tesla. He's coming from Arkansas. He's like a 3rd, 4th round pick. I'm interested to see how he's going to do, and some of the other young guys.
Yeah, listen, I mean, you watch because you want to see these 2nd and 3rd stringers, guys that are on the bubble that last preseason game. If they're not playing, typically that means that they've made the team, right? You're going to bubble wrap them. I think this year you're going to see a lot more quarterbacks throwing for over 4,000 yards. I don't know. My gut just tells me that it's almost like, I don't want to say routine now. I mean, think about some of these guys: Burrow, Goff, Mayfield, Smith, Darnold, Jackson, Mahomes. Mahomes was right under 4,000. You had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, we'll call it 7 quarterbacks throw for over 4,000 yards. And then out of the top 14, Allen sat at 3,700. These guys are on the cusp. I think they're going to air it out a lot more. It's what the NFL wants. They want the points. So you're going to have some opportunities to hit some of these seasonal prop bets, if you will. By the way, Lloyd joins me twice during the NFL season. Also BYP, we go through all the games. We're going to do a lot more with our divisional predictions, week 1 matchups. We'll start talking about the lines, MVP, offensive player of the year, defensive player of the year, rookie of the year, all that stuff to watch as well. And always, you got to be kidding me with this nonsense. Am I reading this correctly? I'm telling you, my level of aggravation today, it literally just, there's no limit to it. But anyway, you can catch Lloyd every Monday 8 to 9. Lloyd Vance's Insider Football 102.9 FM, the game at Lloyd Vance. I got to take a quick time out, brother, but I always appreciate, enjoy the snooze fest of the game. Play the under, as you mentioned, tonight, 32.5, and we'll do it again on Tuesday, pal.
All right, Q. Talk to you later.
All right, my guy, Lloyd Vance. Always appreciate him jumping on board. What am I looking at here? What's this? No. Get out of here. I need verification on this. I was about to take a time out, and I'm not. My level of just annoyance today. You got to be kidding me. Are you kidding me with this crap? The Knicks gave Mikal Bridges 4 years at $150. New deal includes a player option for 2029 and 30, a trade kicker. Jesus God, what are you doing? Team player my ass. He said take a discount. I mean, you got to be kidding me with this crap. This is horrible, horrible, horrible with this. This guy sucks. He had one friggin' play for the Knicks. Good defender, horrible contract. This is just, are you kidding me? Sir, I know Watson chiming in, Q, relax. They just locked in the most reliable two-way wings in the league. Stop. And yeah, I understand the CBA. You're going to go back to friggin' Molly's game with me with the comments? Horrible. This is a horrible overpay. I got to get out of here on this on a Thursday with this nonsense? That's all. What are they doing? Seriously, what are you doing? You're paying this guy money. He's not even remotely that player. Oh my God. Come on, man. I can't stand this friggin' franchise. I cannot stand this franchise. Guy made 2 plays in the postseason because he played a little bit of defense. Other than that, he wanted no parts of the basketball. None. Ooh, 16 points in a game 6 loss. Oh, 12 points. Oh, 17 points. The guy can't shoot for diddly from the floor. He had one game against the Pacers and they lost that game when he scored 20 points. This is horrible, man. You kidding me? Horrible. You happy? Are you happy now? 4 years at $1.50. There you go. Thought out Thursday. We're thought out. Didn't Todd Bridges pass away too? Come on, man. Didn't he pass away? I know he passed away. A lot of those. Did he pass away or no? I hope he didn't. Wait, no, he didn't. All right, hold on. Todd Bridges is still alive. But still, you're right. I'd rather pay Todd Bridges at 60, right? Than Mikal Bridges. I'd give Todd Bridges, 4 at $1.50 with this. It's just a horrible way to end the show with this nonsense. Oh my God. The Yankees suck, the Giants stink, and the Knicks overpaid for a dog. Welcome to my friggin' world on a Thursday. Welcome to my world. Wow, that's great. So much for the hometown discount. You want to play for the Knicks. I mean, I can't fault them. I mean, you're making a boatload of money, but can we just... Even Jonathan Marshall just texted me. He's laughing out loud. Bridges, are you kidding me? Yeah, have fun. I mean, you want the Mikal Bridges from 2021, 2022 with Brooklyn. You're not getting that 22, 23 point score. You're not. That's a horrible overpay, man. That is just a horrible. This 5 of 16, 6 of 19, 6 of 13. Come on, man. What are we doing? 5 turnovers, 3 turnovers, 4 turnovers, 5 turnovers in a game 6? And you can't decipher gambling amongst friends. What a Thursday. I mean, I can't. Listen, all I'm saying is if you ever came to my house and my establishment, there would be no rake taken. That's all. There could be a rake taken on Hooten Road. There can be a rake taken in Larchmont. There can be a rake taken in Voorhees. There can be a rake taken in the DMV. There's no rake taken in Casa de Quiñones. This is a horrible way to end Thursday, but we thought out on a Thursday. Good stuff from Lloyd. You got the Hall of Fame game tonight, I should say. I mentioned the Lions with a very low line. Now it's dropped to 1.5. If you want to hang your hat on that, 32.5. Tomorrow, What the Frig Friday, John Bueller is going to join us from Fansided. We'll get a lot more into the NFL talk and discussion. Also, we will recap everything that's transpired with the trade deadline in baseball, which is about a minute away from coming and going. Sarge chiming in. Q, it's a thought out Thursday. You need to have a little hot toddy and relax. Go enjoy a little Lions football. Laugh out loud. I might have to do that tonight, Sarge. That's a horrible contract. Again, excellent job with the comments, some of you. As always, get social with us. By the way, YouTube channel at Rich Q on Q. Keep subscribing, keep liking the videos, keep sharing, keep commenting. I appreciate you guys greatly. Excellent stuff on a Thursday. Appreciate all the sponsors, TriX57, TriX57.com, keeping us on the air. We will do it again on a What the Frig Friday edition of Middays with you. Got to see if we can get my guy Angel to pop on tomorrow as well. And I promise I won't leave him in the queue room like I did the last time. But you guys have a good Sports Thursday. As always, be safe, be sound.